This page is the front cover of 64 magazine, volume 14, and it's a free hints and tips book, mind you. They're shouting about World Cup 98 being reviewed, reckon it's a trophy winner. Forsaken gets an exclusive first review, something about maximum destructive force, sounds right up my street. Then there's Buck Bumble, a cyborg bee shooter in your back garden, blimey. Standout 8 is back according to Konami, with a screenshot to prove it, and they're promising a Quake map solution. Plus Quake 2 for the N64 is mentioned too. Down at the bottom they've got Zelda, Earthworm Jim, and Banjo-Kazooie listed as well, must be bits about those inside. And look, every new Nintendo 64 game reviewed. Whoa, they're not messing about, are they? All for £3.95. Bargain, even for back then. This page is showcasing the N64 Jolt Pack from Blaze. Looks like a rumble pack, a memory card combo, neat idea that. They're banging on about a flashing light feature, and force feedback, bit of a gimmick if you ask me. Available in a few colours, clear, yellow, green. Nothing too fancy. Price is £14.99 with a 1MB memory card, or just £9.99 for the standard Jolt Pack. They're also flogging separate 1MB memory cards for a tenner, and 256K ones for £7. And down at the bottom there's a steering wheel called the VRF1 Accelerator, for driving games, works on PlayStation and Saturn as well as the N64. Over on the right, it's a subscription offer for 64 magazine. Subscribe to 64 magazine, it says, get 12 issues, a free solutions book and a Nintendo game for £70. They reckon you save £37, sounds alright. It's pushing their subscriptions offer, with images of the mag and a bloke in a suit, bit James Bond-esque. They're offering a choice of games, with the sub Diddy Kong Racing, GoldenEye, Super Mario 64, and Mario Kart 64. And then you get a strategy book thrown in too, your pick of the Super Mario 64, Lilat Wars, or GoldenEye guides. Says to turn to page 92 to subscribe. Wonder what the catch is. This page is the contents page of the magazine then. Let's have a look-see. Over on the left we've got a chap celebrating with the World Cup. Looks like they're covering World Cup 98, says it's an ISS beta, or FIFA knockoff. Cheeky. Also mentions Forsaken. Says they've been banging on about it for months, and it's even better than they hoped. Good stuff. Yui. In the middle section there's a few bits and bobs listed. 64 showcase for fresh Nintendo news. When I'm 64, sounds like some letter page maybe. All-Star Baseball 99 says it looks fantastic. Buck Bumble looks like a B game. 64 Score Zone, Cheat Central and Quake. There are screenshots dotted around for Forsaken, Buck Bumble, Baseball and Quake. On the right, contents, the games, listing the reviews and previews. 64 site, Zelda 64, Banjo-Kazooie, F-Zero X, Standout 8, All-Star Baseball 99 again, Turok 2, Mortal Kombat 4, Earthworm Jim, Rat Attack, and Pocket Monsters Stadium. Then a reviews section with Forsaken 64, World Cup 98, NBA, Courtside, Airborder and Jeopardy. And finally, Nindex, which must be the index for past reviews. Looks like a good issue packed with games. The 64 showcase highlights upcoming Nintendo 64 games. Quake 2 promises more gore, new weapons, and 4-player deathmatch. Activision brings Nightmare Creatures, a Tomb Raider-esque title set in Victorian London. Star Wars, Rogue Squadron is previewed, with excitement over its N64 release. The 64DD memory expansion pack is discussed, boosting memory for improved graphics. Conker's Quest 64 is renamed 12 Tales, Conker 64. Banjo-Kazooie's release is delayed, with THQ's Quest 64 mentioned as a factor. Wipeout 64, a surprise as it is from a Sony-owned company, is coming with enhanced graphics and a 4-player mode, compared to F-Zero X. Konami teases Dracula 64, Hybrid Heaven, and Survivor, with more details expected at E3. This magazine section covers various N64 news and previews. The charts show Yoshi's Story doing well alongside GoldenEye and Quake, with new entries like ISS 64 and Aero Fighters Assault. EA Sports World Cup 98 is anticipated. A 64DD section discusses Japanese RPGs, including Snowspeeder, but mentions the cancellation of Buggy Boogie. Carmageddon and Chopper Attack are also previewed. IS 98 has had its price slashed before release. A What You Really Want section contrasts Japanese and UK gamer expectations, both topping their lists with Zelda 64. Gizmos and Gadgets reviews the Datal Game Booster, 84%, for Game Boy games and the Trident Pad Controller, 74%. News Nuggets announces the delay of snowboarding's UK release, potential new games from Rare and Kemco, and a silly milkshake update analyzing gaming styles based on milkshake preferences. E3 promises a stellar lineup for the Nintendo 64. Anticipation is high for a playable Zelda 64, alongside potential GoldenEye rival, Turok 2. Rare's Banjo-Kazooie and the expected Quake 2 are also confirmed. Gex 2, Jungle Emperor Leo, Resident Evil 64, and Castlevania add to the diverse selection. Mother 3 is a highly anticipated RPG for the 64, DD, while Hybrid Heaven and Mega Man 64 are possibilities. Titus is bringing Superman, the animated series, and Xena/Hercules games. In Sim/War game, Command & Conquer 64, Virtual Chess 64, SimCity 64, and Simcopter are mentioned. The sports genre will be heavily represented, featuring ISS 98, multiple baseball games, NBA, and NFL titles, alongside bowling and gambling games. Finally, Nightmare Creatures, Shadow Man, Super Mario RPG, Tonic Trouble, and Mission Impossible round out the offerings. This article previews various Nintendo 64 games across several genres. Puzzle games include Rat Attack, Buster Move 2, Disney Tetris, Weetrix, and Micro Machines. Racing games showcased are F-Zero X, Wipeout 64, Speed Unlimited, GT Racing, Off-Road Challenge, World Grand Prix, Twisted Edge Snowboarding, Cruisin' World, Reverend Limit, and Snowspeeder 64. Weird titles include South Park, Space Station, Silicon Valley, Iggy's Wrecking Balls, Pokémon Stadium, and Mario Artist series. Shoot 'em ups feature GoldenEye 2, Star Wars, Rogue Squadron, Body Harvest, Chopper Attack, Knife Edge, Nuclear Strike, Buck Bumble, and Robotech, Crystal Dreams. Finally, beat 'em up games include Street Fighter 64, Mortal Kombat 4, Rare's fighting game, Fighting Force 64, Biofreaks, Flying Dragon, and Deadly Arts. The article promises more reveals at E3, with a focus on Street Fighter and other upcoming titles. An advertisement for Jim is included as well. This Letters and Ask Andy page features 3 letters and a Q and a section. Tom Sidney enjoys the magazine but is disappointed with the N64's game quality and Nintendo's lack of support, fearing a Pocket Monster focus. Michael Easton saved for N64 and initially loved it for multiplayer, but now questions the console's future, concerned about limited compelling new releases and the PlayStation's competition. R. Thompson, an Australian reader, praises the magazine and its catering to Australian subscribers. The Ask Andy section explains the 64DD, lists its planned games, including Mario Artist programs, Zelda, and various others, and addresses questions about pricing, recommendations, and cartridge sizes. Finally, the page advertises N64 peripherals from Fire International. This page is an advert for 64 Solutions number 3, which is out now for £3.95. It's being touted as the ultimate tips magazine for the N64 and is promising N64 tips and nothing else. Inside this issue, they're saying you'll get full solutions to Bomberman, Nagano Winter Olympics, Automobili Lamborghini, Turok Dinosaur Hunter, WCW vs NWO, and Snowboard Kids. Plus, they're also boasting a complete as of Nintendo 64 cheats and tips, so you're covered no matter what issue you pick up. They reckon other mags stretch solutions out over many issues, but 64 Solutions does it all in one go, and is sorted. It's a giant 132 pages, full of undiluted gaming heaven, apparently. There's an order form, to get your copy sent straight to your door from Paragon, publishing down in Bournemouth. The next page is a full-on advert from Gameplay, banging on about being Britain's biggest mail-order supplier for computer games, making a big deal about price, choice, quality and service. They're shouting about N64 consoles being at the world's most powerful and lowest prices, at £90.99 for the console on its own, or bundled with games like Mario Kart, Lilat Wars, Diddy Kong Racing and GoldenEye, all for around £129.99 to £137.99. They're pushing their unbeatable service guarantee and free 48 hours delivery. Loads of N64 accessories are on offer too: steering wheels, different colored controllers, rumble packs, memory cards, the works. They've got a dedicated section for second games, pre-owned games, that they reckon are guaranteed for 3 months, and they're buying back used games as well. There are screenshots of Zelda 64, Mission Impossible, and that Top Gear driving game, plus Mickey's Speedway USA, thrown in for good measure. Down at the bottom there's a long list of N64 games for sale, everything from Cruis'n USA and Diddy Kong Racing to GoldenEye and Yoshi's Story, priced between £29.99 and £48.99. They've even got a PlayStation section tucked away in the corner with games for £25.99, and the PSX console itself for £106.99. Right at the end, there's an order form to cut out and post to them if you're not calling up. They're pushing the sales hotlines hard, and even have a fax number for orders. Old school. This page of 64 site is all about Zelda 64, or Ocarina of Time as it's properly known. They are well excited for this one, going on about how it's a dream come true and worth all the waiting, even if it feels like it's dragging on forever. They've had a gander at it at the E3 show, and reckon it's going to be a belter. They're even having a laugh about how the wait feels like a never-ending tunnel. Graphically, it's a world away from the SNES Zelda games. They're saying goodbye to the stumpy little man Link from back then. They're describing all sorts of bonkers things they've seen in the game, like Link battling these floaty jellyfish monsters and nasty evil skull things. Release date-wise, they're saying Nintendo's aiming for autumn, but it could be Christmas or even pushed back to Easter 1999. Typical Nintendo, keeping us all in suspense. But they're convinced it's going to be massive, calling it the Titanic of the video gaming world. Loads of screenshots here showing off bits of the game, Link battling enemies in dungeons and exploring forests, getting us all properly hyped up for it. This page of 64 site dives into Banjo-Kazooie and F-Zero X. Banjo-Kazooie is still being talked about after first being shown at last year's E3, and they reckon it's shaping up nicely for an August release. It sounds like they're going for a more realistic look compared to Mario, mentioning things like monstrous enemies, a green-faced witch, and a carrot character. They also mention collecting puzzle pieces to unlock new levels. Then there's a good look at F-Zero X, which was meant to be out in Japan in July. The writer is clearly getting impatient waiting for it, but they've got some new screenshots from Kyoto. They're showing off the 4-player mode, and even some snowy tracks, with these sled things attached to the sides of the vehicles. They're banging on about how fast it is, with turbo boosts and crashes galore, and apparently, Shiggy himself reckons you can just wipe out all the other racers if you fancy. They're highlighting the bonkers track designs, saying you can even race upside down on some of them. Sounds like a proper Chowtic racer. Konami's ISS 98 for the N64, slated for a September release, is touted as the best football game ever, surpassing even ISS 64 and PlayStation rivals. Key improvements include aftertouch on shots using the Z-trigger and analog stick, and faster gameplay. Player customization is greatly enhanced, allowing for detailed adjustments to player appearance, stats, and physical attributes. Visually, ISS 98 boasts features like Quantal-style replays and improved lighting and camera angles. Licensing issues mean fictional player names. Despite the absence of official names, the game is positioned as a strong competitor against World Soccer 3 and EA's World Cup 98, potentially making it the superior choice for football fans this holiday season. This page showcases Acclaim's All-Stars Baseball for the Nintendo 64, slated for a summer release. It's being touted for its impressive high-resolution graphics, or high-res as Acclaim are calling it, which they're known for from their NFL quarterback club games. They reckon it's so visually sharp it makes their older titles look ancient. The article talks about the gameplay basics, 9 innings, outs, and the pitching and batting controls. Apparently, batting involves positioning a cursor to hit the ball, and pitching lets you choose styles like curveballs and fastballs. They mention you can have up to 4 players, and there are options to make it easier for beginners. Telio. There are screenshots of the game in action. We can see a create-a-player screen, showing customization options, and in-game views of batting and pitching. One shot even shows a home run distance of 424 feet. The magazine chap seems quite taken with the graphics, saying it looks unbelievably good, although he does have a bit of a moan about baseball not being a big thing over here, preferring rounders apparently. Still, he concedes that All-Stars Baseball could be surprisingly good fun. 64 site previews Turok 2, Seeds of Evil and Mortal Kombat 4. Turok 2, due late 98 from Acclaim, boasts a 4-player mode, and the playable character Adon. Improved combat, more dinosaurs, puzzle solving and less platforming are promised. The article highlights a tank chase comparable to GoldenEye. Mortal Kombat 4, from GT Interactive, is set for a summer release. The game moves to 3D, ditching the 2D sprites. Expect over-the-top fatalities, limb removal, and decapitations. Classic characters like Sub-Zero, Raiden, and Scorpion return, joined by new faces such as Kai. The gameplay aims to capture the arcade feel. This article previews 3 upcoming Nintendo 64 games. Earthworm Jim 3D, a 3D platformer developed by Vice, features puzzles, racing, and a fall damage prevention feature, with an August release. Rat Attack from Mindscape, due in November, pits heroic Scratch Cats against evil mutant space rats in a room-clearing action game with multiplayer modes and traps. Pocket Monsters Stadium, a game that allows players to battle their Game Boy Pokémon on the N64, is slated for a summer Japan release and a later 1998 release for other regions. This page showcases a feature on Buck Bumble, a new game in development from Argonaut Software. The article highlights Buck Bumble as a fresh hero for the N64, quite literally with a sting in his tail. Argonaut, who you might recall were the chaps behind the original Starglider and the Super FX chip wizardry for Star Fox on the SNES, started this as a research project back in '96 to get to grips with the N64. The game puts you in the shoes, or should I say boots, of Buck Bumble, a cyborg bumblebee, in a 3D shoot-'em-up, but with a twist. Instead of blasting spaceships, you're battling enemies in a micro-level world. Think gardens and kitchen sinks turned battlefields. They wanted something different from the usual war games and spaceships, so they came up with this bumblebee chap. Gameplay-wise, it sounds a bit like Lilac Wars, or Star Fox 64 as you might know it, with on-rail sections but with arenas for more open combat. The screenshots show Buck buzzing around leafy environments, blasting baddies, and even having a bit of banter with in-game speech bubbles. The feature also lists the team behind Buck Bumble: Richard Griffiths, Anna Lark, John Steels, Simon Keating, Damian Green, Carl Graham, Keith Weatherly, Nick Clark, Gene Felipe, Adam Hill, and Giles Fordcrush, all working to bring this buzzing adventure to life. It mentions that Argonaut also developed Croc for the PlayStation, proving their versatility across platforms at the time. The next page continues the feature on Buck Bumble. It emphasizes the unique gameplay stemming from playing as an insect in a garden environment, highlighting how ordinary garden objects become huge obstacles and potential hiding spots for enemies. They even jokingly mention a toilet as a potential level feature. Borra, as you. The article elaborates on the game's title, Buck Bumble, explaining they wanted a punchy, action hero name, avoiding more mundane options like Trevor or Malcolm. They were inspired by Buck Rogers, giving the character a retro-futuristic vibe. Visually, the game is praised for its artwork, with all elements initially drawn on paper, before being rendered using 3D Studio Max and Photoshop, and a lot of effort went into scaling objects to create the feeling of being tiny in a giant world. Multiplayer is confirmed, though initially limited to 2 players, and described as cooperative, featuring various versus modes, including aerial gun battles, races, and even aerial football. Buck Bumble will feature 22 missions across 3 zones, culminating in a showdown with the Queen of the Evil Herd, the main villain. Buck will have access to a range of energy weapons. The article ends with a playful, "Can Buck Rogers, sorry Buck Bumble, our fearless cyborg hero, conquer the alien invaders and save the world? Tune in next week to find out," clearly building anticipation for the game. The Nintendo X, potentially Nintendo's next-generation console, is previewed here. It will use cartridges alongside new, rewritable 1.2 GB optical discs, avoiding CD-ROMs. Key features include 4 controller ports, high-resolution graphics, 640 by 480 to 1000, 280 by 1024, and aggressive anti-piracy measures with region locking. The console is a closed system without expansion ports. Internally, the Nintendo X boasts a 16 MB memory, a 128-bit RISC CPU running at 525 MHz, and an RTX Reality 2 coprocessor for advanced graphics. The console promises superior performance compared to contemporary PCs and even the PlayStation 2, with a 100-channel audio chip. Images show a sleek, black design and colorful controllers similar to the N64, with a crisp, widescreen racing game screenshot as an example of its graphical capabilities. This page is all about the Nintendo X controller, which is supposedly for Nintendo's next console, based on what we saw previously. They're really pushing this rotational control with the analog stick, explaining how it works as a steering wheel in Mario X, letting Mario face one way whilst moving another. Clever stuff if you can master it. Because of this rotational control, they've moved the fire buttons to the shoulders and underneath, meaning you need to use both thumbs. Interesting point, no need for separate rumble packs here, as the vibration is built right into the controller itself, keeps things neat. And they've gone proper serious with a security chip to stop third-party controllers, protecting their revenue, as you'd expect. They've even left out the D-pad entirely, stating it's to force developers to use the analog stick, which they reckon can mimic a D-pad anyway. Bit bold that. There's a tech specs rundown again, similar to what we saw before. Also on the page, there's an advert for value pack books, for both PlayStation and Nintendo 64. Seems to be tips and cheats, and they're plugging books for big games, like Tomb Raider 2, Final Fantasy V2, GoldenEye, and Mario 64, proper classics of their time. You can order them using the form at the bottom. Looks like a good deal, if you're after some help with those games. This 64 magazine review section highlights a slim selection of games. Forsaken 64, a violent shooter, is questioned. World Cup 98 gets praise for its visuals and potential ISS 64 rivalry. NBA Courtside, with a Blade Runner aesthetic, sparks debate. Airborder, with a Marty McFly reference, divides opinions. Jeopardy! Surprisingly appears. The section details the magazine's rating system, awarding gold medal status for high-scoring games, down to a below 20% ranking. Categories include Sizzler and Planet Dubious. Other segments cover standard review information, memory options, and discussions on N64's memory usage, PAL optimization, and a unique commodiometer rating system comparing games to sitcoms like Seinfeld and Allo Allo. This page is a review of Forsaken 64, giving it a Sizzler award, which is a pretty good rating in this magazine. They highlight the pseudo James Earl Jones voiceover, which is a bit of a draw. The game is about robots taking over Earth, and you play as a bounty hunter trying to sort it out across missions and boss battles, including one against a chap called Exogenon. They compare it to Descent, a proper PC first-person shooter. Standard memory options are in place, with saves using the controller pack. The screenshots show the gameplay, weapons like the pulsar, and different environments. There's a 64,000 question section which is a bit cheeky, suggesting it might be more like a beefed-up SNES game rather than fully using the N64's power. But they do say the visual effects are impressive, even compared to PC and PlayStation games of the time. They mention Descent being on PC back in 1995 for context. The basic weapon is the pulsar, and you can power it up, with power-ups scattered around, but you can lose them if you get hit. Sounds like a solid shooter overall. This review of Forsaken 64 awards it a Sizzler for its impressive visuals, especially the lighting and vibrant color palette, considering the printing constraints of the time. The review highlights the game's visual effects, particularly explosions and gunfire, and acknowledges the 360-degree movement control system, noting its initial difficulty but eventual flexibility. The review then details the game's 10 missions, all under the Mission Destructible title. These missions range from a nuclear plant and a biodome to a temple and a flooded subway, each with unique objectives, like destroying a metatank prototype or defending a home base from attacking robots. The variety of levels and objectives promises engaging gameplay. Forsaken 64 receives a glowing 93% review, lauded as a top-end 64 game with impressive visuals and engaging gameplay, especially during combat. The review praises the graphics, audio, gameplay, and lasting appeal, highlighting the game's excellence. The review favorably compares it to GoldenEye and Duke Nukem 64. The review details the controller layout and offers information on the game modes, including single-player missions and a highly praised 4-player deathmatch mode. The reviewer compares the deathmatch to Rare's Bond games and praises the weapons sounds and level design. A second opinion further emphasizes the fast-paced action, claiming it's the fastest scene in a video game, even rivaling GoldenEye. The review also includes a light-hearted sidebar on robots in popular culture, referencing characters like HAL 9000, The Terminator, R2-D2, and others. This page is a review of World Cup 98 for the Nintendo 64. It's given a good write-up, saying it's the best football game ever played, aside from a disappointing intro sequence. Developed by eSports, it's praised for excellent graphics, realistic animation, commentary, and variable game speed. There's a bit of a moan about the N64 version missing the intro music and video that was in the PlayStation version, which was a tune by Chumbawamba, apparently. However, despite that, the reviewer strongly recommends going out and buying it. There's a section showing off special moves in the game, called Be a First Division Show-Off, with screenshots showing how to perform them using button combinations. It highlights the tower cam view as being impressive, making you feel like you're in the stands. Memory options are mentioned as none, but it uses the controller pack for saves, World Cup settings, standings, and edited players and teams. The next page in this magazine continues the review of World Cup '98. It reckons the game is approachable for new players, but still offers a challenge for seasoned footy game fans, especially on the professional and world-class settings. It highlights the in-game management as a nifty new feature, allowing you to preset strategies and then trigger them mid-match with simple button presses. And there are 3 basic formations to choose from. It mentions the game's difficulty levels, saying the amateur setting is spot on for beginners. Apparently, GoldenEye 98 includes all the teams from the actual World Cup, grouped correctly, which is a nice touch. For those of us who aren't always top of the league at footy games, there's a catch-up mode to even things out, and you can even handicap teams to make matches fairer. It also talks about the impressive skills you can pull off with simple button combos, meaning even a novice can start doing rainbow kicks and step-over thingies fairly quickly. And finally, seeing as the game has all the right teams and groups for the real World Cup, the magazine is having a bit of fun trying to predict the winner based on the game. Reckons Brazil will take it 10 in the final. There's also a bit about tweaking your in-game management formations to really get the tactics spot on. This review of World Cup '98 highlights its impressive in-game management system. The review covers controller layouts for skill moves and suggests alternative football games like ISS 64 and FIFA RTWC 98. Graphics, audio, gameplay, and lasting challenge are highly rated. The review also includes a power cheats section with cheat codes for various N64 games across genres, like shoot-em-ups, beat-em-ups, racing, and platform/sports. A second opinion praises World Cup '98, giving it a 93% score and declaring it a great game to relive World Cup moments, even suggesting it surpasses ISS 64. This page reviews Kobe Bryant in NBA courtside for the N64, and right off the bat they're asking if it's finally the decent basketball game the console deserves, mentioning previous less than stellar efforts like NBA Pro 98 and NBA Hangtime. Apparently, the reviewer hadn't even heard of Kobe Bryant initially, which is a bit daft really. Anyway, they reckon it is the best basketball game on the N64, praising the camera system in particular. You can view the action from pretty much anywhere. It's got all the official NBA teams, players with 97 stats, and even a couple of all-star squads. You've got season, pre-season, and playoff modes, the usual stuff. There's a bit about memory options using the controller pack, and a box highlighting the good points. Crisp graphics, smooth animation, and responsive controls, though they joke that nobody at the magazine really understands basketball. Aka. They talk about the players moving quickly and being nicely animated, with easy controls and special moves. There are 7 camera views, including a top-down one, and a fun feature is creating your own player, with loads of customization: name, number, position, height, weight, even your head and abilities. Apparently, the NBA doesn't allow players over 99 or professionals over 20 years, which they find ageist. They even make a joke about Sir Andrew Lloyd Webber's name being in the game. Screenshots show the in-game graphics, the team select screens, and the player creation options. Kobe Bryant in NBA courtside for the N64 is a strong basketball title, considered the best on the console by the reviewer. Praised for its smooth, action-packed gameplay and responsive controls, it offers all official NBA teams and players with 97 stats, along with season, pre-season, and playoff modes. The game features crisp graphics, smooth animation, and easy-to-learn controls, including special moves and 7 camera views. A notable feature is the player creation mode. Multiplayer is a highlight, supporting up to 4 players. While a second opinion deemed it polished but lacking spark, the review awarded it an 85%, highlighting its enjoyable and absorbing gameplay. The review does caution UK PAL owners to wait for a possible update for graphics. UI. This page is a review of Airborder 64, a game that's seemingly taken its sweet time to arrive, considering the Back to the Future 2 film. They're highlighting the concept of the airboard itself, calling it a masterful bit of engineering. The review touches on memory options, noting it uses controller packs for game progress. A section titled $64,000 question points out the game's massive tracks and versatile characters as positives, but also mentions nasty drab colors, only 2 players, and a duff player mode as downsides. The review then goes into gameplay, describing character and board selection, and criticizes the lecture mode as useless. Coin mode is likened to the coin challenges in Diddy Kong Racing. They're impressed by the weird and varied landscapes. going from snowy cityscapes to stunt parks in giant houses, and the sheer scale of the levels is emphasized in a section called the Arenas. Course descriptions are provided for Green Park, Lost Forest, Snow Festival 64, Sunset Island, and Giant House, giving a flavor of each location. The game's physics are mentioned as being unlike snowboarding, as airboards don't obey the same rules. Finally, there's a section on the usual suspects, describing the playable characters, Alf, Bobby, Chris, and Dave, noting their resemblance to Final Fantasy V2 characters on the PlayStation. Game details at the bottom state it's an arcade racer from Human Entertainment, out now as an import, priced at £69.99. Airboarder 64, reviewed in the magazine, receives an overall score of 80%. The review breaks down controls with a diagram and explains button functions. While generally positive, Andy McDermott finds it dull compared to 1080 Degrees Snowboarding. Alternatives include 1080 Degrees Snowboarding and Snowboard Kids. The game scores well in graphics, audio, gameplay, and lasting challenge. The review also features a famous people who hover section, highlighting characters like Marty McFly, Enzo from Reboot, Maximilian from The Black Hole, and Silver Surfer. Two-player mode is criticized for a difficult vertical split screen. The single-player experience is deemed addictive. The conclusion states the game is fun but challenging initially, especially due to Japanese text. The reviewer recommends the PAL translation for a better experience and emphasizes the game's appeal for players who enjoy performing tricks. The soundbite summarizes the game's fun and style. Rugushi. This page is a review of Jeopardy! On the N64. Published and developed by Gamtech and Take-Two respectively, this quiz show game is out now as an import and costs £60. The reviewer questions Gamtech's choice of making this game considering their past financial troubles producing similar games. The review highlights the basic graphics and gameplay compared to other N64 titles. Memory options are limited with no controller pack support. The FMV animation is described as basic, consisting of small, blurry video clips, a far cry from fully animated contestants. The reviewer humorously suggests they'd rather play NAF games for $100, implying this game isn't very exciting. It points out that instead of answering questions directly, players choose categories and values, and incorrect answers deduct points. The Daily Double feature is mentioned as a way to wager a percentage of earnings. The What Next section amusingly proposes other British TV shows as game adaptations like Coronation Street as a pub simulation, EastEnders as an RPG, Neighbours as a graphic adventure, and Points of View as a whodunit. This review of Jeopardy! For the N64 is overwhelmingly negative, earning a paltry 30% rating. The reviewer criticizes the standard controls and awards low marks for graphics and audio, suggesting that alternatives like Wheel of Fortune and Tetrasphere are superior. A soundbite sums it up. Might be fun if you're an American fan, otherwise forget it. A second opinion further denounces the game as a NAF quiz conversion. The review page also features adverts for otherwise 64 games and consoles, along with a game exchange service. Screenshots of the Jeopardy! Game reveal basic visuals, including a player selection screen and the contestant podiums. A withdrawn stamp strongly emphasizes the reviewer's disapproval. This page of Cheat Central is bursting at the seams with top cheat codes, crammed onto a double-page spread. We've got Shadows of the Empire kicking things off with a cheat menu that unlocks practically everything: weapons, invincibility, you name it. Apparently you need to enter your player name as Wumpa.Stomper, and then perform some button and analog stick gymnastics, involving a bit of saliva, or your chin if you're posh. Rampage World Tour is up next, showing you how to get alternate colored monsters, play as Vern, who's that radioactive chap, and find hidden cities by punching signs and pressing buttons. Each monster has a different button for their hidden city. Then there's 1080 Degrees Snowboarding with a trick to unlock all tricks in training mode, and finally NHL Breakaway 98, with cheats for bonus teams, 100 bonus points, and creating perfect players by naming your player Jim Hung. Sneaking in at the bottom is Mortal Kombat Mythologies, Sub-Zero with a simple invincibility cheat code of TDFCLT to enter at the password screen. Plenty to keep gamers busy here. This cheat sheet for N64 games offers a variety of codes. In John Madden 64, enter @_Madden to unlock the all-time Madden team. F1 pole position allows infinite fuel by setting the fuel gauge to 10%. Yoshi's Story has an instant death cheat. Hold Z, A, B, and L. The page also features action replay codes from Datal Game products. These include cheats for Duke Nukem 64, infinite armor, ammo, etc. FIFA, Road to World Cup 98, score manipulation, GoldenEye 007, infinite ammo and health per level, WCW vs NWO World Tour, time and spirit manipulation, and Mace, The Dark Age, infinite energy and one-hit deaths. A smaller section mentions save game-based codes for Mace, The Dark Age, and WCW vs NWO World Tour. This page is the Score Zone section, dedicated to hardcore gamers to prove they are the best. It's compiled by Roy Kimber, and this month's ultimate player is Arthur van Dalen from the Netherlands, recognized for his top score in Diddy Kong Racing. There are lists of top scores for a huge range of N64 games, including Diddy Kong Racing, Shadows of the Empire, GoldenEye, Wave Race 64, Mario Kart 64, Extreme G, and Tetrasphere. Loads of names appear in the high score tables for each game. Looks like a real mix of players from across the UK and Europe battling it out. Ikika. Alongside the scores, there's a bit called Have You Seen This Boy?, which is asking readers if they recognize a young lad who sent in a top score for Top Gear Rally. Then there's Mugshots, which is a call for reader photos to be featured, and Help Me Out, asking for help with video submissions for the Score Zone. Finally, Focus That Camera gives tips on how to photograph your TV screen properly to submit your scores. Seems like blurry photos are a common problem. It wraps up by advertising the Trident Pad and 256K memory card from Logic 3, suggesting these are the tools for serious players. This page is a proper blast from the past, isn't it? It's a full-page advert for a shop called Excitement Direct. Looks like they were the place to go for all your Nintendo gear. They're pushing Master Blaster packs for the N64, special edition consoles with gold controllers and bundled games like GoldenEye and Quake. There's a World Cup 98 deal, knocking a few quid off if you got the special football game and a memory card at the same time. They've got a whole section on new accessories, soft toy characters, steering wheels like the Mad Catz and V3 racing wheel, and those game booster things to play Game Boy games on your telly. Then it's cables and memory cards for the N64, US Games section, and loads of N64 games listed with prices, like Banjo-Kazooie, GoldenEye, Diddy Kong Racing, Yoshi's Story, and Forsaken. They've also got a miscellaneous section with cleaning kits and carry cases. Over on the right they're flogging Game Boy and Super Nintendo games and accessories too. Original Game Boy offers with bundles and double packs. It's a proper catalogue page. You could spend hours just browsing all the bits and bobs they had in stock. And of course there's an order form at the bottom if you wanted to send off for anything. Remember doing that? Good times. This page is a detailed guide for Quake 64, level 1 to be precise, called the Slipgate Complex. It's laid out as a walkthrough, showing you how to get through the level step by step. There's a map of the level, taking up most of the right-hand side, clearly marked with numbers that correspond to the step-by-step guide on the right, and screenshots to give you a visual aid. The left-hand side has a turbo walkthrough, giving a general overview of what you need to do, and then underneath that there's an icons key explaining all the symbols used on the map, like weapons, ammo, health, armor, map features, keys and power-ups. It's your typical level guide from back in the day, designed to get you through the level without getting your head blown off by some gruesome monster. It's all very clear and concise for navigating the maze-like corridors of Quake. The next page continues the Quake 64 guide, this time for Map 2, Castle of the Damned. It even gives you a password to jump straight to this level, which is handy. Just like the last level, there's a turbo walkthrough for a quick overview, and a more detailed step-by-step guide on the right. The level map dominates the page again, clearly showing the layout, and marked with numbers that match up with the step-by-step instructions. You've got screenshots dotted around too, showing key moments like finding the nails at the start and grabbing the yellow armor. Looks like you'll be needing to grab a silver key and a quad damage rune in this level as well, judging by the guide. Standard Quake stuff really, blasting monsters in dark corridors. This page continues the guide for Quake 64, now taking you through Map 3, the Necropolis. There's a password for this level too, H004, YXBQYGBD55BP, so you can jump straight in if you fancy it. Just like before, you've got a turbo walkthrough for the quick route through, alongside a more detailed step-by-step guide on the right-hand side. The map for the Necropolis is front and center, clearly marked with numbers to match up with the step-by-step instructions. Screenshots are scattered about showing bits of the level. Looks like you'll need to grab a grenade launcher early on to deal with the zombies effectively, and you'll be on the hunt for a gold key, and even a ring of shadows in a secret area later on. Standard Quake monster blasting action in those gloomy corridors. This page is a right proper walkthrough for Quake 64, this time it's map 4, Gloom Keep. Good news, they've given us the password for this one too, so you can jump straight in. CWH2S2C2S8, VJZZ5T it is. Just like before, you've got your turbo walkthrough for the nippy route through, and the step-by-step guide on the right for those who like a bit more detail. Bang in the middle is the map of Gloom Keep, helpfully numbered to match up with the step-by-step instructions. Looks like you'll be dodging some spike traps right from the off. You're after the rocket launcher in the eye-shaped walkway area early on, and you'll be needing to grab a silver key, and then a gold key to get through to the end. Keep your eyes peeled for a super nail gun, and some yellow armor later on, and there's even a secret area with mega health if you fancy a swim in the moat. Shamblers and ogres are kicking about, so you'll need to keep your wits about you. Mind those grenades. Looks like a fairly straightforward Quake level. Get the keys, blast the monsters, and get to the exit. This page provides a walkthrough for Quake 64, and this time it's map 5, the door to Crethon. Handy password again for this one, PQROVHXO PCVYXQLN, so you can jump straight to the action. They've given us both a turbo walkthrough for the quick route and a step-by-step guide for a more thorough approach. Just like before, slap bang in the middle you've got the map, helpfully numbered to match the step-by-step instructions. Looks like you'll be navigating lava moats and secret areas in this one. You're after a silver key and a gold rune key to get through to the end, and you can snag yourself some yellow armor and mega health along the way. Keep an eye out for a rocket launcher too if you haven't got one already. Plenty of ogres and zombies kicking about, plus fiends and shamblers later on, so best keep your wits about you, and plenty of rockets handy. Standard Quake affair really. Get the keys, blast the nasties, and find the exit. This page continues the Quake 64 guide, moving on to map 6, House of Cathon. They've given us the password, PLRXLQXLGXLQ, 3PBT, so you can jump straight in. Just like the previous map, there's a turbo walkthrough for the speedrunners, and a step-by-step guide for those wanting a bit more detail. The map layout is right in the middle, clearly showing the path you need to take, numbered to match the step-by-step instructions. For this level, you're after the rune key right at the start. Clearly Thom will show up pretty quickly, lobbing fireballs, so you need to keep moving. Grab the mega health at the back of the level, and use the lift to get up to the top level. The main objective seems to be neutralizing Crethon by using pylons and electrical charges, which you need to do 3 times. Once he's taken care of, you'll find a new walkway and need to take the entrance marked with the red rune to find the shaft leading to the exit. Looks like a bit of a boss battle level, this one. This page continues the Quake 64 guide, now onto map 7, Ziggurat Vertigo. They've given us the password again, CHH60004L1VBBXYDC, so you can jump straight in. This one's a bit of a secret map, apparently slotting in between maps 3 and 4. Gravity's gone a bit wonky here, so every jump sends you skyward until you bang your head on something. There's the usual turbo walkthrough for the speed demons, and a step-by-step guide if you want to take your time. The map layout is smack in the middle, easy to follow with numbers that match up to the step-by-step instructions. 8 Barley. Looks like you start by grabbing a pentagram of protection just outside the entrance to the ziggurat, and some yellow armor inside. Then it's into the lava, swimming under a walkway to find a secret entrance. Quad damage rune awaits there, nice. The guide then takes you through getting a rocket launcher, dealing with ogres and scrags, and eventually getting to the silver key. There's a shambler guarding a switch for the silver key, naturally. And right at the end, it mentions shooting a wall for a final secret area. Standard Quake fare then, just with a bit of a gravity twist. This page is an advert for Department 1, looks like they're flogging all sorts of N64 gear. They've got new and second-hand consoles, including UK, Japanese and US models, plus all the accessories you could need. Games-wise, they've got US, UK and Japanese software, both new and used. Loads of titles listed like 1080 Snowboarding, Yoshi's Story, Zelda 64, Quake and GoldenEye, you name it, they seem to have it. They also do RGB conversions for import consoles and even console repairs. Based in London if you fancy popping down. 64 Magazine is offering both subscriptions and back issues. A mega deal subscription includes 12 issues, a choice of one N64 game, Diddy Kong Racing, GoldenEye, Super Mario 64, or Mario Kart 64, and a strategy guide for £40. Standard subscriptions for 6 or 12 issues are also available. Back issues are sold for £4.95 each, including postage, with issues 2, 4 to 13 available. Issue 1 and 3 are sold out. Content varies by issue, covering games like Super Mario 64, Star Fox 64, Banjo-Kazooie, GoldenEye, Diddy Kong Racing, and The Legend of Zelda, Ocarina of Time. An order form is provided for subscriptions and back issues, with payment options for check or credit card. Nindindex's Buyer's Guide reviews a diverse range of N64 titles. High scores are awarded to GoldenEye, 96%, Diddy Kong Racing, 95%, Fighter's Destiny, 92%, and Extreme G, 91%. Games like 1080 Snowboarding and Bomberman 64 receive respectable scores of 86%, while titles like Doom 64, Blastcore, and Automobili Lamborghini perform well. Other games, such as Doraemon and Dual Heroes, are harshly criticized. Cruisin' USA, FIFA 64, and The Glory of St. Andrews receive low ratings, and many other games receive scores ranging from mediocre to poor. This buyer's guide reviews a diverse selection of N64 games. Highlights include ISS 64, 64%, 93% sticker, praised as the best football game, and the creative platformer Mischief Makers, 85%. Mario Kart 64 scores 80%, but faces criticism for cheating AI. NHL Breakaway, 98-88%, excels in visuals and gameplay, while Lilat Wars/Star Fox 64 shines, 64%, 94% sticker. Other notable titles include Mystical Ninja starring Gomon, 85%, Puyo Puyo Sun, 64, 87%, Quake, 88%, and Snowboard Kids, 85%. Reviews range from the average League Dynamite Soccer, 50%, and disappointing Mortal Kombat Trilogy, 55%, to solid performers like NFL Quarterback Club, 98, and Madden 64, both 80%. The guide also notes issues with PC conversions and some titles aging poorly. Soccer. Madeira Games advertises imported N64, PlayStation, Saturn, and DVD products, including consoles, accessories, and VCD players. The review section covers several N64 games. Super Mario 64 receives a 94%, praised as a still great game. Other scores include Tamagotchi World, 72%, Tetrisphere, 75%, Top Gear Rally, 90%, Turok, Dinosaur Hunter, 72%, Wave Race 64, 87%, Wayne Gretzky's 3D Hockey 98-85%, War Gods 52%, WCW vs NWO World Tour 85%, Wild Choppers 72%, World Soccer 386%, and Yoshi's Story 81%. New generation consoles also advertise, offering a wide selection of N64, Japanese PlayStation, Saturn imports, and US PlayStation RPGs, with new releases and special offers. This issue previews upcoming features on 64 games, like Zelda 64, Banjo-Kazooie and others. The 64 Ninfo section contains standard magazine details. A large advertisement promotes special reserve discount mail order, offering N64 consoles, game bundles, and a wide selection of discounted N64 and SNES games. Accessories like memory cards and controllers are also advertised, alongside a special reserve annual membership for exclusive discounts and gifts. Further promotions include a discounted price for World Cup 98, a contest with prizes, and details on special reserve big club shops locations offering games, PC repairs, and upgrades. Finally, a subscription advertisement encourages readers not to miss future issues.